Now the curious thing is, for how long has the stream been off? And the second most curious thing is, was I muted all this time? Not necessarily, because I had some conversation with Hopsi Paaveli, or I never perhaps said anything to them. But in any case, what just happened, what you almost witnessed, was this nice comeback, but sadly our opponent called us a spammer, Rior Dioli, and they didn't enjoy that. Whereas I thought that we had a very clever spread around the map type of play against their push that was very focused on the middle or against our base. But let's see. The curious thing is why our stream stopped in the middle of it all, but perhaps in due time we will learn. Alright, so Ercodioli playing as Britons, not British, but Britons. But since they used the town well, perhaps they are a bit slower player, and the attempt that we had was too cumbersome, since instead of having this main force in the front, we tried to run away from the army, as witnessed here, and avoid a direct conflict with them. It took us a while to get to the rhythm, as will be visible here, but I think it's still a very viable way of playing the game. Then again, it's going to be very difficult to play if you can only focus on a single spot. So we have killed one villager, one enemy military unit, and lost 14. So our micro is not too great, and they are constantly, like, at least it felt that they are doing very good job with their army control, controlling both groups, archers and cavalry, and still also handling the macro in a very nice format. I'm not sure, like, based on the army control, this doesn't really feel 1K-ish to me, but I was hoping that because there is this constant micro by our opponent, that perhaps their macro would slip. But idle TC time 4 minutes, so yeah, perhaps this is just perhaps it makes sense that this is a 1K level, so they have the army composition that they want to, and now they're just trying to keep it alive, and then building the eco when we give them a chance by not sending army. So now it's eco time, and we would probably be wise to try to keep them active and drain their APMs, or make them focus their APMs on actions that don't necessarily benefit them as much in the long run as focusing on their macro will. It's similar to us, like as soon as the army microing starts, the idle TC time increases. So this is also like civilization and unit composition question, like our very dear friend Santu knows, and although often mentions that playing with ranged units is terrible because you lose them or you leave them out of your sight for 15 seconds and they are all dead. And here we are unintentionally, partially at least, making our opponents macro sleep by throwing some units at their way. But now this army is ill positioned because we are going to lose, I don't know, 10 villagers probably. We have already lost 12, but only 3 villagers. Well, it's early days. It felt worse. But that's also probably the reason why they are going back and forth with these units. Because it takes like constant effort. But now we didn't achieve anything with this army, so we could have tried to contain them and make them work a bit more. Because now the idle TC time is... Well, we now have a very good amount of thousanders, whereas they only have 2. So that's probably part of the build as well. Yeah, but this is the curious thing, that as soon as the army starts to move, the macro slips. But so I understand that the comment about spamming is probably very well targeted, in a sense that if they are lacking the speed and they have to feel that they have to constantly move like they are going to lose the archers if they don't constantly micro them, then it's not going to be very pleasant to try to micro them, and then as soon as you realize that you haven't been watching your eco for some time, then you are forced to move all the way back, like at least like half a screen or something, so that you will have time to queue up more villagers. So it's a hotkey issue. Nice raid here as well. So it probably would make sense to, like, their eco doesn't support that too well. Oh, we have 30 more villagers. But this is probably because Bengalese villagers are cheaper, perhaps, right? Am I wrong? Could be. This doesn't tell. Or it's... I'll remember at some point. But in any case, there are situations like this where this small group of elephants is doing the work. I don't know if this counts as spamming, but perhaps that's... perhaps that makes sense. But now if they had a change of unit composition, perhaps it would suit them fine, because this eco number is not enough. Like, we are going to lose some units here trying to engage against this number of archers. But meanwhile, eco kills are already 19 to 3, so their eco looks nice, but it's still not as solid as ours, of course. I also think that if they had more siege, like, they could have also added some rams, just to, like, just for the sake of it. Because now we are again losing our very dear horses, and this was looking very GG-ish, in my opinion, as well here, because the score tells you a story, and we only had this, like, this might not have been the MVP move, sneaking few elephants into their base, but it was very important, and all they had to do was produce one extra monk to get rid of that. But I think they just garrisoned the castle, and because earlier they had garrisoned the town center that killed the other elephant, and now they're just like thinking that this will die eventually, or that it doesn't matter. But they didn't know the extent of our eco at this stage. So 164 villagers is almost enough. And we have what, 13 head army, and 1/10 of our army is here under this castle doing the work. And they are doing the correct looking move of raiding the eco now that they got rid of the castle. Fighting with villagers is not worth it. Lesson learned. But if we manage to surround these, then well, we still have 150 villagers. But that's something that it's like with this scouting, they don't know that we have bases all around the map, and we also got the very important cold access there. So perhaps that would have made sense as well to send some villagers. Sorry, well, why not villagers, but some units out there. We're also getting rid of the castle soon. But the monks are prepared. So it could be that their APM is like large, but still like they're constantly afraid of losing the army here. But they're also floating resources, so they could produce more. Even longbowmen now. But so they think that by just pushing in they will win the game, because they have seen very little from us, which is a correct read, because we have very little on the field. Oh, so they converted the elephant. I didn't realize that. And now they have overtaken the village kill number, at least for now. I could have probably produced an onager or something, but I was afraid that the range difference would be too large, so that I couldn't actually get on top of them, and then that would be that. But we still have 50 more villagers. We have collected 25k more resources, and now we are doing the wrong way, wrong sort of attack by getting into the reach of the castle. And also we lost the stable where I thought we were producing the elite elephant. And I think like you could feel that you are in a good position when the game looks like this. But luckily we got some stables down and also some houses, and the elephants also will soon get the extra upgrade. Because they could produce few more archers, but for some reason they are not doing that. So the way they read the game, if I read it correctly, is that they have enough of force, and they are we are just postponing the GG, so they could just rest on their laurels. But actually we are just getting back to the game with this push and with this upgrade that they didn't know, because they hadn't scouted the map, despite having the units to do that. And now they are focusing here, getting some conversions. Yes, well, that's only fair. I didn't realize that I gave so many elephants to them. I was hearing the chanting, but oops, but just like that they've lost. 20 more villagers. This was a little bit throwish on elephant front, but this was the spammy play that we got called out for, sending these elephants and soon these scouts into their base instead of facing their army that we can't really engage with our composition. So on the other hand, I get that, but I also think that they could have perhaps used the resources. Like, all they had to do was produce more arbalester from the archer ranges that they got back home with the resources that they had. So if they had 20 archers here, we could never engage with their eco. But instead we are just constantly slowing down their push and then losing some elephants in the process and then getting rid of their eco back home. So perhaps this was an APM game then after all, but yeah, the arbalester, but always sticking around the trebuchets. 112 villagers still, but the score doesn't tell that we have collected 35 half more resources than they have. Here's the group of skirmishers, and this is the army that they can't afford to lose. Here's the microing, and simultaneously fighting against elephants with villagers is surprisingly efficient. But finally we were able to get on top of their siege and forcing them to engage with the skirmishers, so that was nice. And then the dream is dead, even though they are floating resources. So perhaps that's telling of this level of play, and perhaps the spamming also was about the way we spread across the map. That is not really fair. When I thought that was our only chance in the game, not trying to engage with their eco, and now they are trying to extend and get back to the game because they still have the resources, but let's see. Army high almost equal. At the top stage of the game. Villager max, yes. And speed wise they were just perhaps a bit more focused on the army play as it seemed watching the game. So it could also be that the case could be made that they since they faced no pressure from us, a very little army presence was visible, then they thought that they could just push their way to a victory, and that's the reason they neglected the eco and the army addition, adding more army, because we are floating more. Oh well, we are floating almost as much resources as they are at this stage of the game, but they have 1/4 of their resources collected percentage wise in store, whereas we only have 1/10 of ours. So they gave a huge handicap by playing this in this sportsmanship manner. Army against army. Let's see who wins. They also had some eco upgrades that they were lacking. But yeah, with the resources that they had, they could have built a similar army back home, just leave them idle, and we couldn't have Reagan them. At least that would have forced us to clean the army in front first before trying to end the game in this clever manner, as we did, in my opinion. But I presume that from what we just saw, I never changed this. A terrible stream host. First the stream gets cut short, and then we explain something that's happening on the other window, but that's what you get at this level. But it was still, of course, a very enjoyable game, even if you didn't get to witness even the recording of that. But yeah, I think it would demand a different playstyle from our Cordioli, perhaps. But if they just kept on with their boom, then we would probably be dead because we were giving so much room. Like all our starting base and then some got lost in the process before we got a chance to turn the game into our favor. As you can see from the recording file that you can download from the web. See for yourself. Because now all we saw was this, probably. But this was where all the main activity was going on, or going down. So no worries there. Perhaps one more game before we call it quits. Perhaps, because it's been a long day and a very rewarding one. But you can tell from the high pitch of the voice that we have had some rough times. But thank you all for sticking by through this hardship, partaking on this adventure. Perhaps now we could have the officialish cat camish. Perhaps. Dun, 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 dun. Ah. There. So land nomad, better than nothing. We are still audible? Yes. Well, this has been a weird day. We have had the huge raids. We have had a raid of friends. Nice conversations. some lapses game-wise and also production-wise. And we get to play up. Against Cornelius, who sounds familiar for some reason. Let's just take this pocket and enjoy that. Spend some extra time because they can't have all their villages right next to each other either. That's impossible. No. That seems a little bit lame-ish attempt, but on we go. No good luck, no have fun. Just in time. So Dravidians, they get extra wood during the age change, and the infantry plays somewhat tolerable. Would it make sense for them to just destroy this house? If they, well, it's going to take some time, so perhaps it doesn't. Don't need a house yet. Right, but I don't have a clue of what to do, so let's just try to wing it. Feudal age, and that's that. Could have probably found a sheep if he did see some effort to it, but we never did. Very little resources anywhere, so could take some practicing. Right. So barracks, just to get some units out there. And let's hope that's the correct play. And then we will want to get a mill, presumably, because we need farms. Huh. Let's try to find some berries. Otherwise it makes little sense. Although we are in a desperate situation where we just need a mill. Oh! No, we don't. Concentrate. Yay! We have food. And there's a second boar. Now we have everything. Ah. We were so close. Few more villages and then we go. One militia to scout a bit. Yes, 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 yes. Hopefully we can find some berries, for example. Would be nice. So let's make another one. But the problem is if they have found, let's say, a handful of sheep, and if they are also using that. Okay, so there we could have built a mill. Okay, let's scrap that. Do we get enough to... Oh no. Okay, then we will carry on with this. Oh, nice sheep. Carry on producing. Okay, so the corners or the edges of the map are sort of places where you could find sheep, so that's nice. And there you go. There you go as well. What? Sadly, we can't produce more. Alright. But now we have finally the mill in place, so we can farm our way to the next age if need be. Oh no. This is... What was that? A leaf? Oh, we have a really tired cat thinking the very same thing. So perhaps we could have a let's scrap that plan and have a fast casualist plan instead. And let's not make it quick. Even if it means that the game is going to be very similar to the previous one. So we are going to have to hold for quite some time and then something happens and then we will win. So more sheep. Okay, so the edges of the map, I'll have to remember that. Sheep here. Oh, the game could have looked so different if we had paid more attention to that. Alright, so what do we do? Yes. Only the most important buildings of our time. Feels like cracking a code that, of course, this is how you find sheep. Oh, you could have also upgraded this, but next time. Just ooh, so they have a town center here. Alright, so they produced scouts, but perhaps they could afford that. No upgrades on those. Oops. No. Oh well. Oh well. So what do we do? Just keep the sheep here. So they would have elephants, for example. Perhaps we could do some sort of archer play. Just for the sake of it. And some upgrades. Ooh. Yes. How come we are so weak against these when we have a loom? Well, how we can do the surprise cavalry play instead. And the only thing we are lacking is resources to actually do that, but it's of course just a matter of time. Let's build the next one there. Because we don't need too many of anything. Resources, for example. Alright, then out we go. So we perhaps didn't need to lose 5 villagers to 5 scouts, but that's what happened. So we're just going to have to try to improve in the future. So that's their castle age. And what sort of clever play are we trying to pull off here? It could be that they are booming even better than we are, but since we have had some idle town center time by now, but even the walls, oh, that's sweet. All right. Double stable cavalry archers. Yeah, Japanese after all, so this is what we do. Ooh, and we have more sheep. Back home you go. And there you go. Some more houses. Oops. And then what? A university would be nice. Monks? And they spent both the conversions to this single... Oh. Alright. Well, you could stay home. Then we could try to get some map presence with these, although I'm not too familiar with these cavalry archers. But let's go there, for example. And some more units out would be nice. Alright. Yes, we can. Let's see what they are up to. Ooh. Elephants, alright. Elephants are obviously very good. But are they that good? If we have skirmishers, for example. And I think we could have some. But we need more everything. Farms. The town center is not too well positioned for anything, but okay, it's going to have to work. So elite skirmishers. That's good. And just booming. But based on the score, they might have an edge somewhere where we are not actually really competing. We are not really doing a very powerful army. Or in a way it is of course very powerful, but we are not using it. Ballistics, so it's 300 food. And now based on the score, I think they have few more villagers in the field than we currently possess ourselves, but of course if they are staying cornered, then it's not going to last for too long. Because that's never the way the game is played. Right, so what can we do around here, for example? There's a stable, that's cool. More houses. Ooh, skirmishers of their own, right? Okay, let's go there then. Now we could be collecting relics, but we trust in the process. Okay, so they have 1500 elephant archers that are slow. They have a defensive castle. Okay, let's have it. Okay. So what we need is a fast-moving army. All right. 150. We are lacking all sorts of upgrades as well. Like the range would be nice. And ooh. And then the horde of elephants is incoming. So what do we do? Let's just build this there, why not? We can always find more forest from somewhere else. Let's go there. If possible. We don't have too much going our way currently. Even lost it. Ooh. That's neat. Just walking in. That's the power of elephants. So where is our murder holes incoming? Well, they probably can spare to lose a few of those. Alright, I'm back to work. Well, this is a very weird game. Like I don't know why they are playing this in this calm a manner. What sort of upgrades could we be? We need resources, we have nothing. Perhaps they know, based on the score and otherwise, that we have very little going our way. Ooh, so they're defending, right? Okay. That's neat. So are they thinking of getting rid of this castle then. Huh. Well, perhaps that's the case. Perhaps that's why they are back home. So what is our composition against their... Do we just do trash? And could we have 1500 more units as we might just need? Right. So we have gold, but we would probably want to get to the next age before it's too late. Now I'm just thinking out loud. Ooh. Let's focus on that instead. So all we need is huge group of trash units. Right. We can do that. And perhaps an imperial age of ourselves. So they have skirmishers, they have elephants, and they are heading our way. Alright. Finding some kills here. But this could be a very short game once it starts. Let's see if we can pull that off. Oh no! Oh. Well, I was a little bit worried for a while. And they're taking the valuable units. Those clever players. These are some more. Let's try to win some time for us by acting stupid if possible. So the castle is still happening, that's cool. Alright, so what else do we have? We could improve that. Well, we don't have too much. So what do we need to get more food? We could need some farms, that would be a thing. Extra arrows from towers, that's nice. Halberdier, if we can produce any. It's a nice idea. Right, and then we could just try to stay there for a while. Doing some nice kills. The wood line. Alright. That's cool. Back to the safety of the castle you go. And where's our blacksmith? Still around-ish, here-ish. Okay. So still doing the work here, very good. And let's just move down there if we can. Some cavalry archers would be nice for raiding purposes, why not, but might be that we are not given a chance to get there actually. The castle is really potent. Few knights could be enough. Might not be enough. Let's see. And then chemistry. Extra range. Oh no. How good they know? Run! Okay, so it could be that we have lost the game of the very valiant fight. They don't have ballistics even though they have... Okay, GG, well played. So they had a secret recipe that we couldn't really match. Thank you for your time. Just cornering in the eco and then booming outwards, not inwards. We could probably have invested into some quality units ourselves, but this was really sluggish game from the start. I don't know if we got over 80 villages. Should have farmed and not tried to do anything with army, I think. Or should have tried to keep our army alive since they respected the cavalry archer play. But they did what our opponent in the previous match was not able to do, which was just keep on producing. Alright. So we have everything in place. Oh, so they have sheep from the start. They have scouted half the map. They have boar. Everything. Alright, I'll have to remember next time when playing Nomad that it makes sense to scout a bit around the map, because we have so much idle thousands of time during times when it's not really a very good thing to have. Whereas they already know half the map based on the early rounds and the help of the sheep. So they perhaps knew how to play Nomad style in a fashion that I'm not too familiar with. As you can tell by comparing the scouting in well, now that we have the extra units, that helps a bit, but just a while ago things were looking quite grim. So resources collected, they have 1000 more, well, 500 more. We only had 2 minutes of idle TC time. So they turned into farming quite fast. We don't have 4. Well, it's happening. But like this is the moment where if we had any eco to actually produce, this would be the correct time to push. But now 10 minutes of idle TC time, and we are on 3000 now, right? Yes, and it's counting, so we are not really macroing very well. So HAH was right when they said 6 hours ago that the micro is good, but the macro is well, needs improving. So I was just hoping that they wouldn't know how to play the game, and that we would be able to knave our way back into the game. But clearly they were just aiming to get to 100 villagers and then getting well, taking it from there. So this castle could have been more forward. I was afraid for nothing because they didn't have a secure wood line. So they were floating wood, so it wouldn't have changed too much. But at least we could have got some villager kills and we could have forced their hand. Our initial idea was to carry on with the castle after this, but this is like the deathmatch style of playing the game, or very professional style of playing the game. So the curious thing is, how is Cornelius at 1073? What's their weakness? Well, could be anything, of course, but it's just a curious thing. Or then again, the question might be, how come we are at 1k after a performance like this? So they have doubled the resources, only half more villagers, but we are lacking some eco upgrades and what have you. But luckily we got some kills, like 15-21 the eco kills, but we never stood a chance. So it makes sense to quit if you can't find any sheep and any boars, then the game is lost. Unlike what we discussed with Dan earlier. Yeah, it seems like this was like this could be very easily fixed. Now we produced some army when we didn't really want to use it, and then we just idled around the map with the cavalry archers that were very expensive for us because we had some upgrades for them. So we should have just tried to outboom them when they started this passive boom play. And we could have tried to take some map control and so forth. But we were also very slow, so perhaps it's time to call it quits on that basis alone. Oops, I'm having some routing issues. But the nice thing was that we got this well played, even though it didn't feel too well played. Oh, but okay, so Cornelius has played some 15 or 1300 team games, but only 116 games on the ladder. So it's presumably to be expected that they will be climb as they go, as of course we shall do as well. And they also have been focusing on this Dravidians play. So that's probably the reason why it felt so potent. So no worries, they are grinding. and they are grinding for good. And that's one of the difficulties at this level, I think. When people, I think, still start at 1k ELO. So if there are rather capable players like Cornelius who may have mastered this pocket style, for example, or could be flank, why not? For Dravidians, then it may be a little bit tricky to stop that on the first go, especially if the game before that has been easier one because our opponent has neglected the macro on their part. So perhaps we will be seeing Cornelius in the future if we keep on grinding. But like all this, like, you never need this many stables. Well, deathmatch, why not? Or in a very late team game. But this is just like a power move. In my opinion, if I ever build this many production buildings on a go, then why not? You can quote me. But this feels like this very like let's play it the way it's let's play it the way the pros play the game without thinking whether it makes sense. But of course they could produce what is it then? Some 20 cavalry units at one pop, so if they ever lost their army they could replenish that very quickly. So in a sense it makes sense, but when they started building these they still hadn't seen our army, so it could have easily been some wood wasted too. Then again, I'm only 1k, so what do I know? So I'm waiting to be proven wrong by experience later on. But I'll be hard pressed to build even 5 production buildings, so I'm some way away from that. Alright, so that's how you play Land Nomad. And that's our show for the day. We have had some activity, but we also have had some fun times with the cat. And well, off screen mostly, but still. And now we are ready to charge the batteries for the next day, whenever that might be. But thank you all for your times and attentions and cheers and comments, and it seems that we are more or less back from where we started, right? 1k and 11, but the team came ranking a positive win rate. I think we had a 50-50 win rate on 1 versus 1 as well. So the last game was a game too far, but that's how you learn. Alright, thank you all for your time and attention, and hopefully you will enjoy your days. I shall not be trying to raid at this hour with this brain. You see, you saw how I raided Cornelius in the previous matchup, so it's no go, but you shall find content anywhere. Rest assured. Take cares and good nights and bye byes, and see you again.